Opportunity. Let's keep going in Proverbs. Today we're going to look at a couple little paragraphs at the end of chapter 2 that seem very specific at first, but actually tell us a lot about God's wisdom generally. The first section is Proverbs 2:16 through 19. It says, "So you will be delivered from the forbidden woman, from the adulteress with her smooth words, who forsakes the companion of her youth, and forgets the covenant of her God. For her house sinks down to death, and her paths to the departed. None who go to her come back, nor do they regain the paths of life." This section is saying it's foolishness to think that somebody will cheat on their spouse so that they can be faithful to you. And what seems like it will be fun will actually turn out to be destruction, probably for her family and probably for yours as well. Or in the opposite case, probably for his family and probably for yours as well. And that seems like very specific guidance. It's easy to say, well, that's not a temptation in my life at this moment. I don't know who in our congregation watches the videos or if there is anybody who is toying with that idea, in which case it's very sound wisdom. But the last part gives us a broader picture of how this kind of thinking, this understanding of wisdom, is helpful to any of us with whatever decisions we face. It says, "So you will walk in the way of the good and keep to the paths of the righteous, for the upright will inhabit the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it." When it talks about walking in the way of the good, when it talks about having integrity, it's saying that wisdom is not the kind of thing you can turn on and off. Wisdom is actually the wisdom to keep wisdom always on to the best of our abilities. Wisdom is not the kind of thing we make cost-benefit decisions about, going, well, is it really going to be pay off to be wise in this case or not? Maybe it's worth being foolish because there's a short-term game. No, wisdom is just learning a path to walk. It is learning to be a person of integrity who is the same through and through, who is the same all the time. Because the shortcuts that present themselves to us, the places we think, oh, I could cut this corner, this affair is the perfect example. Well, I'll just make this one, I'll disobey the 10 Commandments in this one big way, and then I'll set up a new life with this person who excites and interests me, and I'll be done disobeying, and life will be great. And Proverbs says, that's not the way of wisdom. The way of wisdom says, no, we want to walk in the path of the good. We want to be people of integrity through and through. We try to obey the commandments when we understand them and when we don't, because we understand that God is leading us in a way that is not going to lead to destruction. It's going to lead to flourishing. It's going to lead to inhabiting the land and walking in the paths of righteousness. Ultimately, it's going to lead to us being wise, saying, both when I understand God's commands and when I don't, I'm going to try to do what he has said to do, because I think that wisdom comes from him. He knows what he's talking about, and he loves us. And so when he tells us what to do or what not to do, he really is trying to help us live the life that he has made us to live.